Alright, what the heck is going on, my dudes? We're back here today with the first week of the Spring of Sorrow, and we're starting off with a banger. We got Iron Fist. Alright, so this fight was actually a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the mechanics of it. Inexorable was used in a really cool way, as was Root. Pressure Gauge is usually a node that I hate more than anything else in the entire game. And it took me a few runs to get used to the playstyle here, but if you utilize the Bulwark on the block when you block his special attacks, along with the power gain, that goes a really long way in mitigating pressure gauge. So after a while, that combined with the Inexorable, it became pretty darn fun playing into Root and Inexorable at the same time, where you were kind of hitting the opponent, staying in the same place and everything, which was really, really fun. So there weren't too many nodes here. When you block one of his special attacks, you put an Inexorable on him and you get the Bulwark passive. You might have to parry for the Bulwark passive. Every time he uses special attacks, you get rooted, and every like 12 seconds you get rooted. That could of course be removed with a special attack or prevented while using a special attack, okay? And that's really all there is to it. You can't gain buffs and you can't put debuffs on him, okay? So in order, oh, and also there's Ebb and Flow Heavy. So in order to knock him down, what you want to do is you want to counter his special 1 or his special 2 with your heavy attack while you're rooted. And yeah, it becomes a pretty nice gameplay loop here. Alright, so we're going to start jumping into the top 10 counters when it comes to objectives today. We have Fantastic Four or A-Force. A-Frocky. We have A-Frocky or Fantastic Four, apparently. We have medium and defensive utility. This is not or, this is and, okay? You can't just use Hercules and be like, I used a medium champ. He might be large. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But point is, medium and defensive utility. And then for the Valiant objectives, small plus science. In my opinion, small plus science is a lot easier than medium and defensive utility, but here we are, okay? So, let's start jumping in with number 10. Number 10... I got Piggy here. I got Piggy. Now, Piggy isn't amazing for this fight because you can't put debuffs on him. However, Piggy's base damage is a lot better than people give him credit for, and with Ebb and Flow Heavy, when you knock him down, you're going to get that Cruelty passive. That's going to juice his damage up quite a bit, so I wouldn't recommend this with the 6-star Pig. If he's your best option, go for it, but if you do happen to have a rank 2 or rank 3 7-star Spider-Ham, he's probably going to do really well here for the fight, so you could probably get a good thing going with him, you know what I'm saying? You cannot do any power stings, though, because no debuffs. Alright, moving on along, we have Invisible Woman at number 9. Now, this is specifically, especially so if you happen to pull that 7-star Invisible Woman during Valentine's Day, she's going to fill 2 objectives for you, Small in Science and Fantastic Four. Speaking of that, why don't we throw in number 8 as well, Mr. Fantastic. Both of these champions are not exceptional for this fight because they're science champions, and this guy is debuff immune. That being said, okay, Invisible Woman has a very great failsafe in her kit when it comes to the invisibility mechanic, so if you do happen to mess up, that's okay, right? And she does hit kind of hard, and again, just like Piggy, especially with the Cruelty, she's gonna have some nice crits throughout the fight. Once you get into that loop of, you know, baiting the heavy attack, or baiting the special attack, countering with a heavy, doing some blocks, right, to keep the pressure gauge down, her force field might mitigate the thermostat damage. I could be wrong. But yeah, play into that, mess around with it. I didn't get to try the fight myself, but people in chat were saying she was good for it. I've had people in chat saying that they're rank 5 Mr. Fantastic soloed. Listen, if you have a ranked up Mr. Fantastic or Invisible Woman, you might as well use them. They fit 2 objectives, right? They aren't the most commonly ranked champions though, so they are lower on the list, even though they do fit 2 objectives. In my personal opinion, it's better to do the fight twice with 2 surefire, amazing answers, opposed to like reviving through with 1, you know? It's just going to be a better experience in my opinion. But of course, that's up to you, right? And we didn't really talk about Mr. Fantastic, but obviously he's all about the debuffs, so you won't be able to place any of his debuffs on him. You will, however, be able to get the Careful Study passives on Iron Fist. Wait, no, you can't do that because you can't even place debuffs. So yeah, it's not going to be the super best fight with Mr. Fantastic. He will, however, fit 2 objectives, okay? Up next, we have SpiderGwen, someone who's actually good for the fight. So SpiderGwen, her damage does really, really well with additional modifiers, right? So, for example, the Cruelty, passive on the Ebb and Flow Heavy. She's going to have a lot of nice big yellow numbers here, especially after Special 3 when you can get the Hunter Spider thing going on as well. You know, you can't put the Enervate on him. You can't get the slow debuff on him from the heavy attack. You do have to keep in mind she does have a smaller health pool, so the pressure gauge is going to be very important to play around, plus her block proficiency isn't the best. If you have a 7-star SpiderGwen, put on the block proficiency stat focus for this. That way you can do your parries and your blocks and play around pressure gauge, okay? But yeah, she's good for it. She was the first champion that I tried. It did well. That was before I figured out the fight and the strategy for it. Then I moved on to other champions. But yeah, she could absolutely get the solo. Nightcrawler. I'm pretty sure MSD put out a video using Nightcrawler for this. I think he does have a rank 3 Nightcrawler, so keep that in mind. But yeah, if you happen to have the 7-star Nightcrawler, I'm not sure if he's available for free to play yet. I enjoy the Valiant daily deals, so I personally have a SIG 40 Nightcrawler. I didn't even get to try him. But yeah, Nightcrawler is, of course, going to be good for this fight. I didn't get to try it, but I don't need to really try the options to know if they're going to be good, especially if they don't rely on buffs or debuffs here. You know, Nightcrawler has that big advantage of dashing back and easily dexing Iron Fist specials, you know, which is really nice with the root. In case he tries to catch you, you just swipe and you evade it, you know, which is nice. Of course, you know, a big damage on his crits. He doesn't rely on debuffs or buffs, and you're going to have a good time with him. I'm sure he's going to do really, really well. Moving on, we have Captain America Infinity War. There is a lot of blocking and parrying in this fight, and of course, Cap is just very tanky, and he fits one of the objectives, okay? So, Cap, what you want to do is the same thing with everybody, really. It's a very similar strat with most of these champs. You know, you want to be keeping, you know, want to be like reparrying to keep pressure gauge down. If you get down to 0 and you lose your power, that's totally fine. But you know what you can do is you can parry a few times. Every time you block, you're going to be gaining power, so you could just kind of like chain those special 2s, and if you crit, you're going to have a good time, especially if you have a 7-star Cap Infinity War from Incursions. He does not need the SIG ability for this fight at all. So yeah, he's good for it. Moving on, we have SheHulk. SheHulk for Afrocky. If you do not Afrocky, if you don't have, you know, one of the better Fantastic Four options ranked up, okay? So yeah, SheHulk is just very solid. Her damage is gonna ramp as the fight goes on. You know, just play around pressure gauge. You know, the taunt is gonna make him use those special attacks, you know, block the special attacks, put the inexorable on him, counter a special with the heavy attack, keep countering the specials, keep using your special ones to gain more furies. You're gonna have a good time. Just keep pressure gauge in the back of your mind. You always have to do that unless you're using Namor, who is very good for the fight, but he doesn't fit any objectives. Okay, moving on to number 3. We have Wong. Wong is who I used for medium and defensive utility. He was very good. I got the solo with him. It did take me a bit to figure out the rotation. What I like to do is, I tried, you know, going first to special 3 to get all 3 spells. I figured out it was easier for me over time, just to really dig into using the special 1s for all the spells, getting them all up right away, using the special 2s to refresh, not really worrying about the Ebb and Flow Heavy if it's down all the time for special 2. Just keep the spells up. You know, the 3 regen spells are going to keep you topped up. The yellow spells are going to increase your Eldritch energy. Is that what it's called? I think it's called that, right? Which is going to allow you to heavy into special 2 a lot. And the blue spell is going to do more damage, which is really, really nice. So yeah, just ramp up with the Wong, and eventually he's going to be close to unkillable. He's going to have a good time. And I do believe if you have a rank 2 or rank 3 Wong, 3 regen or 3 of the green spells can mitigate the energy damage, and your health pool will be large enough to survive that. Keep in mind, if you are running suicides though, you probably won't be able to completely avoid that. But if you're not and you have a rank 2 Wong, the health pool will be high enough that you can kind of avoid that, which is really nice. Alright, moving on to number 2, we have Spidey 2099. He was so good for this fight. Very, very, very solid. He was who I used for my small and science objective. If you have the 7-star, unduped is fine. The 6-star, of course, will be fine too. There are no debuffs in this fight, so there's absolutely 0 interaction with his SIG ability. What you want to do is you want to use the special 1 so you can increase your resistance up passive. That way, all those blocks, you're going to have a really, really great time just blocking, building power, spamming special 1s, right? His heavy attack has a nice reach, right? So you can spam that heavy attack after his heavies and also special attacks, and he's just very solid for the fight. And then finally, at number 1, we got Human Torch, man. We got Human Torch. Now, he's immune to debuffs, but he ain't immune to passives, alright? So those Nova Flames have a good time, man. Have a good time with those. Human Torch made this very, very easy compared to the rest because there is so much blocking involved, and all the blocking is going to build smolders. One thing to keep in mind, you can't like revive this guy down easily with Human Torch because you lose your pre-fight. I died in like a stupid way. I like threw a heavy attack. The first hit connected, then I got rooted, so then I was like stuck in place, then he like punched me and I died with like a 45k crit, something like that. But yeah, Human Torch can absolutely solo this easier than any other champion on this list. Just keep in mind, if you do die with him at like 15% health, you don't have to restart, but you do have to use your special 3 to get the Nova Flames going, okay? And that's totally fine, not that big of a deal. But yeah, that is it for the top 10 list for Iron Fist. Obviously, keep in mind, everybody on this list has to do with the objectives, okay? I'm sure that, like, you know, Ghost and Hercules and all these crazy champions are going to be super duper good for this fight, but objective list, all right? That's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop your boy a big old like and let me know what you think about this fight in the comment section below. It was personally one of my favorite Eternity of Pain style fights we've ever had. But yeah, that's my opinion. Let me know yours. I'll be seeing you around, man.